words, justice demands courage, just don't sit well with me tonight. Is Blanche implying that the courageous motion here is for the DOJ to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell? Because they actually did in a federal courtroom at her trial. Jeffrey Epstein's former associate, who is serving a 20-year sentence in federal prison for sex trafficking. And I know everyone's talking about files as if it's just paper and not people and what happened to them in those files. But remember what this is all about. It's about the abuse of young girls that spanned years, more than 1,000 victims, according to the FBI, all of them at the hands of Epstein. And for at least some of those victims, the abuse was facilitated by Ghislaine Maxwell. And we know that because of the 4 women who had the courage to testify at Maxwell's 2021 trial, speaking out about the horrific abuse that they endured. One was Carolyn, who used only her first name. And she said she was 14 years old when she began going to Epstein's home, testifying that she went there more than 100 times and something sexual happened every single time. She recalled one instance involving Maxwell, telling the court, she came in and felt my boobs and my hips and my buttocks and said I had a great body for Mr. Epstein and his friends. A woman identified as Kate testified that she first met Maxwell when she was 17. And she said Maxwell groomed her for sex acts with Epstein. Kate testified, I didn't want to admit what had happened. I'd witnessed how connected they both were, and I was fearful. She was afraid, but she still testified courageously against Maxwell. And so did 3 other women, despite the unspeakable things that happened to them. That courage. So when Todd Blanche says justice demands courage, I have to ask, courage from who? From the DOJ to sit down with a convicted sex trafficker when there's political pressure to do so? I mean, President Trump is signaling that he's okay with it.
Your Deputy Attorney General has reached out to Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney asking for a new interview.
Yeah, I don't know about it, but I think it's something that sounds appropriate to do. Yeah. I didn't know that they were going to do it. I don't really follow that too much. It's sort of a witch hunt, just a continuation of the witch hunt.
So now the question, what could Ghislaine Maxwell possibly offer? What's in it for her? Well, let me look at her options. The first is to not say a word and let her Supreme Court appeal just play out. Remember her lawyers? Well, they argue that she should never have been prosecuted in the first place. Why? Because when Epstein got that sweetheart deal in 2007 with federal prosecutors in Florida, they promised not to charge his co-conspirators, meaning her. Her second option, a writ of habeas corpus, the fancy way of challenging one's imprisonment. It'd be a Hail Mary and still include a Supreme Court appeal, but it's a tool for her to challenge her detention, maybe on the basis of new evidence or misconduct by the government. We don't know. And the third option, well, she could play ball with the DOJ, the courageous ones, in hopes of a lighter sentence, say commutation or even a pardon from, you guessed it, President Trump. Remember what Congressman Jamie Raskin told me just last week? Whatever she says, he thinks can't be taken at face value.
Ghislaine Maxwell is a federal prisoner right now. Obviously, she wants a pardon. So she will probably sing from whatever hymnal Donald Trump tells her to sing from, and will, report exactly what he wants her to say.
So if Ghislaine Maxwell does or even wants to talk, who's listening with an open mind? Will they actually believe her? And what will they do with what they hear her say? With me now, former DOJ pardon attorney who was fired by the administration earlier this year, Liz Oyer, and James Marsh, attorney representing Jeffrey Epstein's alleged victims. They both join me now. Liz, I want to begin with you because a lot of people obviously are assuming that this meeting that Trump wants, or Trump's DOJ wants, I should be clear, with Ghislaine Maxwell means a pardon or a commutation might be being considered. What do you think?
Well, Laura, this administration's favorite way to solve a problem is with a quid pro quo. And it looks like we are teeing up another quid pro quo here. It's entirely possible that a pardon could be on the table or some other way of resolving the prison sentence that Ghislaine Maxwell is currently serving. She is somebody who was sentenced to 20 years in prison just a couple of years ago. So she's looking at a lot more time. And if she decides to talk to Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, it is not out of the goodness of her heart. It's because she hopes to benefit personally from that. So certainly a pardon or some reduction in her sentence is a possibility.
Or the goodness out of his heart either, right? I mean, talking about the quid pro quo, unless there is a commutation or a pardon on the horizon, with the appellate process not exhausted for her, what would be in it for her, just to speak?
So there is a rule under the rules of criminal procedure that allows a judge to resentence somebody who's provided cooperation. So that could be another legal path potentially. But the issue here is that she did not come forward with any information at the time she was charged with these crimes. That would have been the time for her to come forward. And undoubtedly it was discussed between her legal team and the prosecutor at the time.
Or even at sentencing, by the way.
Yep, yeah. She had plenty of opportunity to come forward. So there's really two possibilities. One is that if she does talk to Blanche, she's not going to have much to say. And the other is that she's willing to play this game of trying to come up with some piece of information that will solve a political problem for the administration. And you have to question at that point, is that even credible? Can you really even rely on that information provided under those circumstances? And one thing that I find really interesting and bizarre about this is the timing of it. I don't know if you noticed that this particular prosecutor, Maureen Comey, was fired last week. She was the lead prosecutor on Ghislaine Maxwell's case. So there is no one in the Department of Justice who knows more about what information Maxwell might have than her. And they fired her and bring in Todd Blanche, who is a loyalist of Trump and his personal attorney instead.
And somebody who knows what she does not know to test that credibility as well. James, I mean, a person close to Ghislaine Maxwell was telling CNN that she will argue against the unsealing of any grand jury materials. Why do you think that is?
Well, I mean, there's so many unanswered questions still in this case, despite almost a decade of scrutiny. I know that your coverage has been really greatly appreciated by the victims and survivors that I represent. It's been very thoughtful and very thorough, but there's so much information that we aren't aware of. And we've been seeking to unseal these Justice Department records with regards to our client, Maria Farmer, for at least 3 to 4 years. This started under the prior administration. So this is not us, a political issue. This is about transparency and accountability by the Justice Department for our own clients' records. And a lot of what's been seen in Maria Farmer's file has been redacted, and we would like that unsealed.
Do you want it unredacted as well? I mean, because it is a lot of things to protect the victims.
Absolutely.
What specifically about the documents or exhibits or otherwise, what do you expect is there to be released?
That's a really good question. And what we do know in Maria's case, and I think this has been lost in the discussion about Trump and all the intrigue, is that she went to the FBI and to the New York police 20 years ago and reported somebody who was already known to law enforcement. She was very credible. She made these complaints. She went to the FBI, and those original complaints were reflected in the files. So we want to know what else is there, and I think it will help mask a lot.
As they say, many inquiring minds have that same question as to what's there. And it's interesting as well, Liz, to have people who are alleged victims as well wanting transparency. It's very difficult sometimes to get a victim into a grand jury to be very forthcoming. They want the secrecy and the protections it provides. But, outside of the criminal context, it's not just the DOJ who wants to hear from Ghislaine Maxwell. Congress wants to hear from her as well. I'm talking about the House Oversight Committee. They plan to actually subpoena her to testify. It's outside the context of a criminal investigation or a criminal case. Does she have an incentive at the legislative level to do so?
It seems very unlikely that she would speak to Congress without cutting some sort of deal with the Department of Justice. It's interesting that this matter is now being handled personally by Todd Blanche, who's the #2 official at the Department of Justice. He is handling it rather than a line prosecutor because he has the authority to bind the Department of Justice to a deal if they choose to go in that direction with Maxwell.
Yet it's still very uncommon that there would ever be a DAG, as they call him, doing this.
It is so uncommon. The fact that he is personally handling this is extremely unusual. It reflects the importance of the matter to the political interests of the Trump administration because he's somebody who is trusted by Trump. And it also reflects some lack of confidence in Pam Bondi, frankly, that she has been taken out and they brought in the relief pitcher, the Deputy Attorney General, to handle this matter. It suggests that either the president or the MAGA public has lost confidence in her ability to resolve this matter satisfactorily.
Now, that's a very important point. I wonder if that's what is behind the decision to be Todd Blanche and not Pam Bondi. James Marsh, thank you. Liz Boyer, please stand by.